Enough, enough. We are not here for all the time, all the time. You'll notice that there are two sides of your crochet project that is worked with hexagons, with shallow valleys, and another two sides with very deep ones. This tutorial will teach you how to crochet half hexagons, perfect for filling in those deep valleys, because as you can see, the shallow ones are remedied by a perfect stitch alignment for when you're working your crochet blanket border. These crochet half hexagons are similar to my crochet basic hexagon pattern linked above and in the description, but as opposed to working in rounds, we'll be working in back and forth rows. Grab your hook, settle in with your favorite yarn, and let's stitch our way to crochet perfection. First things first, yarn and hook size matter. In my video, 5 tips on how to crochet perfect hexagons, the first tip I share is on the kind of materials you should be using. Since presumably these half hexagons that you're making are a filler for your crochet project, use the same materials you used for that project. For instance, in the Lexi Hexi blanket pattern, I used a 5mm crochet hook and DK yarn for the hexagons, and that's the same material I use for the half hexagons as well. For this tutorial, I'll be using the same materials, DK yarn and a 5mm crochet hook. So next up is the foundation chain. This is where the magic starts. If your chain is too tight or too loose, it's game over for those edges. Keep your tension steady and make sure you count the chains carefully. You're going to chain 4 to start. Not too tight, not too loose. 1, 2, 3, 4. And join it to our first stitch to form a ring. For our first row, we are going to chain 2, which counts as a double crochet in this tutorial. Then you're going to DC into the ring. You're going to chain 2 and 2 DC into the ring and repeat that twice. So chain 2 again and 2 DC into the ring. And that is the end of our row 1. As you're about to move to the second row, that's where the secret sauce is, stitch placement. If your edges are looking wavy or uneven, it's usually because the stitches aren't lining up properly. So make sure you're placing your stitches in the right loops, and don't forget to add an extra stitch at the corners to keep everything flat and even. So let me show you what I mean. For row 2, we'll chain 2, which still counts as a DC. We'll turn and we'll work a double crochet into that first double crochet. DC into the next. And when we get to the corner space, we're going to work DC, chain 2, DC. We are going to work a DC into each of these stitches. And when we get to the next corner space, we are going to work a DC, chain 2, and DC. When we get to this last edge, we are going to work DC on that DC, and on this last stitch, we are going to work 2 double crochets. And that is it for round 2. You can see that we have an extra stitch at the end of each of the edges. So for row 3, you're going to chain 2 again, turn your work, DC into that first stitch, and from here work 1 double crochet into each of the next double crochets from the previous round. When you get to the corner space, you'll work DC, chain 2, and DC. Then here you'll work double crochet into each of the DCs from the previous row. In the space you work DC, chain 2 and DC. Then as you're finishing off, you work a double crochet into each of the double crochets from the previous round, but when you get to the last stitch, which is this one over here, you make sure that you work 2 double crochets into that last stitch. So to help you out, you're going to make sure that you count your stitches every single time. I know. Counting stitches isn't the most glamorous part of crochet, but it's essential. So after every row, take a second and count your stitches. It might feel tedious, but trust me, it's worth it to keep those edges nice and straight. And especially working on the last and first stitches, you have to make sure that you've worked 2 double crochets and not 1 double crochet. You can tell as we are going along that the stitches are increasing evenly. You can tell that there were 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the pattern throughout the half hexagon. It increases by 2 stitches every row. So you'll have 2, 4, 6, and for our 4th row, you'll have 8 double crochets on each of the edges. Let's work it out so that you can see. You chain 2 again and work a double crochet in the first stitch. Work a DC into each DCs of the previous round, and when you get to the corners, work a DC, chain 2, DC. At the end of the 4th row, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double crochets on the edges of our crochet half hexagon. So that's the nature of the pattern. It increases by 2 stitches on each edge of the piece. This is similar to crochet hexagons as well. You can see that even without blocking, we already have a half hexagon that is really true to form and true to shape. This is because of the increases we keep doing at the beginning and at the end of each row. That's the most important part, and even the chain that you start with here at the beginning. So you'll continue this way for however many rows the pattern calls for. And when you're finally finished, the final touch will be to block. Although if you're working a blanket, this isn't really a necessary step. But if your half hexagon is still looking a little wonky or a little deformed, blocking is your best friend. Pin it down, steam it gently, and let it cool completely. You'll be amazed at how much it evens out those edges. If you found this helpful, you can give it a thumbs up. Because why not? Why not? Subscribe or drop a comment below for anything that isn't clear or everything that was clear. And the link to download the ever lovely Lexi Hexi blanket pattern can be found in my description box. I've also linked the tutorial for how I make these perfect looking hexagons with 5 tips to help you along. Perfect for beginners and experienced crocheters alike. So be sure to click that link somewhere in this vicinity. Again, because why?